Okay. Hi everybody. My name is Josh and I am the costume designer. So I'm going to be showing you guys some sketches and swatches and maybe some research or notes for A Raisin in the Sun. Okay, so for the costume design of A Raisin in the Sun, the clothing is supposed to reflect both like the time period of the play, which is like, the 1950s, and then also the personalities and aspirations of each character. And so uh, the clothing and the costume uh, decisions uh, or the costume design decisions are meant to communicate things like social class, identity, and dreams, which are all major themes in the play. And then so for the character of Mama Younger, her costume is going to be uh, like a more like practical floral house dress with an apron, and her clothing is more modest and functional because she's the emotional and moral center of the family. And so her outfit or her costume is gonna reflect things like warmth and responsibility and traditional values. And then for Benny, her costume leans more into experimentation and self-expression, which I think is most clearly seen in her, I guess I would call this her more traditional, like African garb. This is what Asagi gives her, at least he gives her the I think the sash, but her costume design includes more like brightly patterned African-inspired fabrics and then a head wrap to reference obviously her interest in African identity and culture during the play. Um, and then her outfit is going to be a lot more expressive and intellectual compared to the others, uh, because maybe this on the one obviously to reflect her college background and her intellectual or her academic ambitions. I know, she wants to go to a medical school, but also because she's constantly searching for things like identity and independence. Um, and then you have Ruth's dress, which is unlike Benny's, is going to be a little more simple and restrained, and she has more, I'd say, like muted. Uh, but colorful vertical stripes to reflect on the one hand her exhaustion because she's a very hard worker, but um also her desire to uh maintain dignity and like femininity despite the family's financial struggles, their financial situation. And then Walter's costume is meant to show ambition. He has some slightly flashier elements like the hat and I'd say this is like more like layered clothing, because he wants to project confidence and success, even though, as we see in the play, he feels more trapped economically. And then finally we have Travis, and he's dressed in, I might say a little oversized, I guess slightly formal clothing, both to show the period and also the idea that he's growing up, excuse me, uh, growing up in this sort of like cramped environment, uh, while also representing hope and optimism for the family's future. And then here we have some swatches and some research notes. And then for this slide, it's just some historical and visual research that informed the costume design decisions. And so since a Raisin in the Sun is grounded in realism, the clothings or costumes uh, are based on actual like 1950s clothing silhouettes and fabrics and styling. Um, but they're also connected to the personalities and goals of the characters. And just to go over some of uh, the individual costume decisions for some of the specific characters here. For Benny, uh, her traditional like African clothing, where Asagi gives her a Nigerian robe. There's some examples of uh, I believe it's pronounced gele or gele head wraps and buba or baba blouses, and then Iro skirts from and this is all going to be from I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing this is all from 20th century Nigerian fashion. And then there's also some fabric swatches here that have some bold wax print patterns uh, and brighter colors to reflect Benny's growing interest in African identity and cultural pride. And then there's another uh, 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 some swatches and research notes here for Mama, and these are going to be more focused on things like practicality and warmth. And so the research and notes here focus more on things like cotton wrap, 1950s cotton wrap dresses and floral embroidery and aprons, older fashioned shoe styles. And the clothing is going to feel more like repaired, reused, um, and cared for, of course, over many years, since Mama values things like family and stability, and also the dream of a home. And the floral elements also connect symbolically to her love of gardening and growth. And then for Ruth, these striped dresses and sort of muted jewel tones uh, are inspired by like 1950s working class fashion. There's some reference images of small apartments and laundry lines because Ruth's costumes are tied closely to exhaustion, domestic labor, uh, economic pressure, things of that nature. And so her clothing is still stylish and feminine, um, but more to like to an extent, and they're going to be more restrained and worn down compared to someone like Benny's clothing decisions. And so yeah, that's all I have for mine.